This is a tale about a young, kind, honest little child in Southeast Sulawesi. This is a tale of La Sirimbone. Hundreds and hundreds of years ago lived a tiny little boy, a kind, honest young child named La Sirimbone. He lived in a small village somewhere in Sulawesi. He lived with his mother. They lived pitifully poor and they struggled to even feed. They were living in a tiny hut which roof was made from rotten hay and brown grass. And then one day, a rich merchant from the northern kingdom came by the village. He stopped by to visit the market there. And then, that same rich merchant, he met with La Sirimbone's mother. And then he fell in love instantly. He asked the elders of the village to marry La Sirimbone's mother, which they then accepted. And then after their marriage, things started to change for the worse. The rich merchant started to hate La Sirimbone. He started to hate that young little boy and then asked his wife to banish that little boy. La Sirimbone's mother was very heartbroken, but she could not disobey her husband. So she reluctantly banished La Sirimbone from the village. Before she said goodbye, she gave La Sirimbone one little advice. Be patient and always be kind. That's all she gave to him. And that is what La Sirimbone held across the journey of his life. On his journey through the wilderness and the hazard of the forest, he stopped by a fairly unusual step, a fairly unusual footprint. Why is it unusual? Because it was very, very large. And then came the sound of an earthquake. But not once, not twice, but tens of times. He looked back and he saw a gigantic figure of a giant. The giant queried, what was that little boy doing in the forest by himself? La Sirimbone replied, I was banished from my village. I was banished from my mother, from my father, reluctantly. And then the giant said, well, you can't be out here all alone. This is the forest. It's getting late and you have nowhere to go. La Sirimbone said, then what should I do? The giant replied, a bit hesitantly at first, but he then said, you can stay at my place. It's pretty warm and it should be fine for you to stay there for a couple nights. And so La Sirimbone and the giant went home together. And La Sirimbone stayed there for a few days. And then one day, while the giant was off working, La Sirimbone went to the lake. He went to the lake and he set up traps. He set up traps so that he could catch fish and bring it to the giant to repay for his kindness. On his first day, he caught a lot of fish. He caught tens of thousands of fish. And then he brought it home, and the giant was very happy. The next day, he did it again. He set up traps, and he left that trap and he wandered around. When he came back to the lake, however, he was very, very surprised to see that the traps didn't even catch one little fish. He was so startled because yesterday he caught tens of thousands of fish. But then he saw a small figure, a small shadow running in the background. He thought this must be the thief. He ran and then he caught the thief. Turned out it was a genie. And right as so, the genie was the one who stole his fish. The genie begged for mercy. The genie begged La Sirimbone, please do not kill me. I will repay you for your kindness, for your mercy to me. La Sirimbone asked, how will you repay me? You ate all of my fish, he said. And then the genie said, I have a ring. What does that ring do? La Sirimbone asked. This is a very magical ring. This is no ordinary ring. This ring can resurrect the dead, can bring back the dead to the world. La Sirimbone said, no way. And then the genie demonstrated it on the fish. He whooshes his hand and then came alive tens of fish. La Sirimbone was very surprised and he accepted the ring. On his way home, he met a pig. But rather unusually, the pig was walking on water. He queried, hey pig, how can you walk on water? The pig answered, that is easy. I am wearing a necklace, an enchanted necklace that allows me to walk on water. And now I don't even need it anymore. Would you like to take it? Asked the pig. La Sirimbone said, yes, of course, give me the necklace. And so he got a necklace. He continued his way home. And then on his way home, he met another person, another acquaintance. It was a seasoned fisherman, an old fisherman, 60, 70 years old. And he was fishing, he was catching fish. Unusually, he was catching fish with a dagger. And then La Sirimbone noticed that the dagger moved by itself to the fish. All the old fisherman did was whisper to the dagger, and then the dagger launched itself to the fish. La Sirimbone queried once again, how could you do that, Mr. Fisherman? The fisherman said, oh, it's so easy, young man. This is a magical dagger that my grandfather inherited for me. It has the power to launch at anything and kill anything in a single stab. La Sirimbone was very surprised, for he had not seen anything like that before in his life. But then the fisherman said something more surprising. He said, would you like to take this, young boy? La Sirimbone said, why? The fisherman said, I don't need it anymore. You can take this, and by God, may it help you help others. So he took the dagger. He kept it in his pocket. And then he returned home. On his way home, on the same journey on the way home, he met a small girl, a little girl, alone in a forest, crying at it. She was very beautiful, but she was crying. She was crying alone. She was sitting by herself in the middle of the dark forest. Sirimbone queried once again, "Oh, a beautiful girl, what's wrong?" he asked. "My brother, my mother, and my father had all been killed by a vicious dragon invading my village," said the beautiful girl. "How could this happen?" said Sirimbone. "The dragon wanted to eat. It was his feeding time and he could not find any other food besides humans, besides our villagers," she said. And so she asked Sirimbone, "Would you help me, kind young man?" He said, "Yes, I would, but how could I?" But then he remembered. He has a resurrecting ring, a necklace that made him able to walk on water, and a magical dagger capable of killing anything with a single stab. So then he put on that ring, he put on that necklace, and he wielded his dagger. And he said, "Dear young girl, dear young beautiful girl, I swear I will avenge your brother, your mother, your father's death, and I will save your village from that vicious monster." And so the girl took him to the village. And there the dragon was wreaking havoc. He was destroying village. He was destroying houses and farms and killing people. And then Sirimbone simply whispered to his dagger. And then the dagger launched to the dragon's neck and killed him instantly. And then Sirimbone walked around the village, and then he resurrected. He brought the people that had died back to alive. All the people, all the villagers were surprised. The young girl thanked him countlessly. She said, "How could you do this? It's a miracle. You're so kind and you're so helpful." And the little girl offered him a place to stay in the village. Sirimbone thought about it for a while. And then he asked the giant, "Would you mind if I left you and I stayed in this village?" The giant said, "Yes, of course, I'd be happy to see you happy." And so Sirimbone moved out of the giant's home, and then he lived in the village with that beautiful girl, with all the happy villager, happily ever after. So what can we learn from this tale of a kind, innocent, and helpful young boy? We can learn that when life hits you down, when life gives you lemon, when troubles and disadvantage and hardship comes crashing down all over you, what can you do? Do not despair. Do not cry. Do not be on your knees. But instead stand up. Stand up upright. Rise. Be patient. Suck it up. And learn what you can from that. And always be kind. Always be helpful. For that kindness can only bring kindness back. That's all from me. I'm Rafi Aulia,